The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available on Amazon.
The Mike Wagner Show, also brought to you by The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, available on Amazon. Highlight the Book of David.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios, brought to you by our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosinzia Missing, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Coming soon, Missing 2 by Mia Mosinzia on Amazon. Double the suspense, double the fun. Check it out on Amazon. Also, Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by A Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David. 30 exquisite paintings. Check out the book, Sweet Psalmist, Serena Wagner, on Amazon. And also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com, 40 podcast platforms in over 100 countries. We're here with a terrific gentleman who's from Vermont. He's an author, former federal Washington prosecutor, also former Peace Corps volunteer, environmental litigator, law professor, and president of a college. And also, he was the Vermont Secretary of Natural Resources. Talk more about that. He was the director of Environmental Law Center in Vermont Law School back in 1990 before moving to D.C. to serve as president of the World Resources Institute for 15 plus years and named one of the most 100 influential people in business ethics by Ethisphere magazine back in 07. And he has a brand new book out, which basically spans two disparate worlds with in one city and dives deep in the divide between D.C. and the neglected districts. It's called What Death Revealed. Live, ladies and gentlemen, plus dudes in beautiful downtown Vermont. The amazing author, former federal Washington prosecutor, former Peace Corps volunteer, and environmental litigator with a brand new book, What Death Revealed. And ladies and gentlemen, multi-talent, Jonathan Lash. Jonathan, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Good evening. Well, thanks, Mike, for that wonderful introduction.
What's great to have you on board. And just want to say you got an impressive resume. You're an author, former federal Washington prosecutor, former Peace Corps volunteer, environmental litigator, law professor, president of a college, and Vermont Secretary of Natural Resources. You were director of Environmental Law Center and a Vermont Law School in 1990 before moving to D.C. to serve as the president of the World Resources Institute for 15 plus years, named one of the most influential people by Ethisphere magazine. And you have a brand new book which spans two disparate worlds within one city and dives deep into the divide between D.C. and the neglected districts. The book is called What Death Revealed. Before getting all that, Jonathan, tell us how I first got started.
You know, I hadn't never written any fiction, not since high school.
Oh, wow.
I did all kinds of advocacy and writing articles for newspapers and magazines and so forth. And when I retired in my mid-70s, I joined a writers group. I just thought it'd be fun.
Okay, sounds like it.
There was one winter morning when the moderator gave us a prompt to write a dark scene. And I was sitting there thinking, what does that mean? And all of a sudden, this picture jumped into my mind of a morning almost 50 years before when I'd been sitting there as a young, naive prosecutor. And these three cops had come in and they wanted me to process the cases from the arrest they'd made the night before so they could go home and go to bed. And,
interesting.
They were cynical. They didn't really have much time for this young, inexperienced prosecutor. And they were part of a world that I was just really interested in. And I just wrote this scene and read it to my friends in the writers group. And one of them said, well, that sounds like the beginning of a crime novel.
Okay.
And it was just like it exploded in my head. Just these characters were screaming at me, yeah, you got to write this book, and talking to me about scenes, and my imagination was just running wild, and I just sat down and started writing. I had no idea where it was going. I didn't know how it was going to end. It just the characters had something they wanted to say.
That's rather interesting. Makes you wonder who are these characters that screamed at you?
Well, so the book is about this partnership between a young white prosecutor. It is not a memoir. This is all fiction, but it's about a young white prosecutor and this streetwise black sergeant. And the best friend of the sergeant has been murdered, and they set out to find out what happened. And they just uncover a mess, all kinds of corruption, 3 more murders. They end up disrupting conspiracy within the police department, basically for the white power structure to hold on to power. And it leads to a real test of the whole notion that it's possible to provide justice. And these two working together have to overcome all the problems that we all face. And it's a story that leads you to think about how does the world of criminal justice really work.
And what kind of theories or conspiracies you guys were involved in? What kind of messes and everything like that? There was quite a number, maybe a bit of examples. What kind of theories, what kind of conspiracies, and some of the things that were involved in a real tangled spaghetti mess.
So this is about Washington, D.C. in the 1970s, in the mid-1970s. It was actually when the late Jimmy Carter was president. And Washington was building its first subway system, the biggest public works project in the city's history, $6.5 billion in 1970 dollars. And of course, there was all kinds of corruption. I mean, you're going to spend that much money, and the project got behind, so they're trying to push ahead really fast. And all the money flowing out of that project began to have a corroding effect on the police department and the people who worked there. And then the city had for a long time just been the plantation maintained by Congress for its own purposes. People who lived in the city didn't have any voice in selecting their own government. And when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, there were riots across the country, but Washington just blew up. The riots were so bad that President Lyndon Johnson sent in tanks driving up the main street of the city, trying to calm things down. And Congress very quickly said, well, we better give them home rule, let them have some say in their own government. And that led to a huge transition, because it was a city that was 70% black and a police department that was 80% white. And all of a sudden, all of that was having to change. And there were intense conflicts and power struggles.
And then you also have with the Lyndon B. Johnson back in the day, too, at 67. That was the most tumultuous, and spilling over into summer 68. And then when LBJ stepped away, did that continue to surface on with Richard Nixon? Did that calm down, or things got worse with Richard Nixon?
Things had calmed down, but the city wasn't rebuilt. It looked like a war zone in the core of the city. It was years before the city got around to rebuilding, although now it's completely changed.
Okay. And plus, there's a lot involved with it, too. And we'll get more into it with what Death Revealed with Jonathan Lash. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those who love you to first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Wilson Z has garnered great reviews. And Evil Evan enjoys by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for It Goes Missing by Mia Wilson Z, available on Amazon. Coming soon to Amazon, Mia Wilson Z 2, double the suspense, double the fun. Check it out on Amazon. Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Sweet Psalms by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David, including 30 exquisite paintings in King David's Psalms. The Sweet Psalms gives a new perspective of David through the Psalms he wrote, his time as a shepherd growing up, and complicated yet turbulent relationship with King Saul. It's a story of love, hope, repentance, betrayal, and more. Check it out. The Sweet Psalmist, Amazon.com/Serena Wagner. Keyword Sweet Psalmist, Serena Wagner. Also, Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com, 40 podcast platforms, 100 countries. Make sure you take us with you on any mobile device and subscribe to us on Spreaker, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook as well. For great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com. Be sure to check out merchandise, t-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast for more great gift ideas. Go to Amazon.com/Mia Wilson Zia for cool merchandise, great books, and more. And support us on Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We're here with the amazing author, former federal Washington prosecutor from Vermont, Jonathan Lash, here on the Mike Wagner Show with What Death Revealed as well. And before get back into What Death Revealed, and you started at 73, and who are some of your favorite authors growing up?
You know, in terms of fiction writing, I have always loved Tolstoy's novel, War and Peace.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's the most beautiful characterization of a society. I thought it was just extraordinary. And then I love Charles Dickens. Read all his books, and I think he's an incredible storyteller.
Mm-hmm. And certainly he's amazing as well, too. And you also wrote another book called A Season of Spoils, and tell us more about that one.
Mike, that was a piece describing the environmental policies of the Reagan administration, policies that I strongly disagreed with. But it was an incredible story because the people he appointed came in believing that they had a mandate to change everything right away, regardless of what the law said. Mm-hmm. And it led to several of them being indicted. I was at that time in an environmental organization, and we sued them and won repeatedly. But it was a time trying to hold on to what Congress had done because people demanded action on environmental problems and protection from dirty air and toxic water.
Mm-hmm. And so as well, too, and you had your part as well, too. And you talked about being a federal Washington prosecutor, also a former Peace Corps volunteer, and you had some excitement on that one.
That was an incredible experience. I had grown up in New York City, and gone to, first-rate schools and lived a comfortable life. And all of a sudden I found myself about 10 miles beyond the end of the last road up in the mountains, no electricity, no running water, with wonderful, wonderful people. And trying to find a way to be of some use to them, help them with projects they wanted to carry out, like building a new school or digging a well so they'd have a source of clean water, riding around on horseback to meet people who had probably never seen an American before. They were way, way up in the mountains.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There was one day when I came and you couldn't, once you stopped at a house, you couldn't leave without accepting some sort of hospitality. And usually that was a cup of coffee. Very, very, very strong coffee.
Ooh, I think a lot of us can use some right now. So
I'm sitting there waiting for my coffee, and I look up on the wall, And there's a picture of Jesus Christ, the sort of bleeding heart picture, and of Mary, and of John Kennedy. This is the mid 1960s. And I talked to my host, and I said, I see you have pictures of the Savior and of Mother Mary and also of John Kennedy. And he looked at me and he said, "Do you think he'll rise again?" Um, but just this image was so powerful for them of a man who represented goodness and had been assassinated. They just thought it was part of the same process.
That's really interesting. You talked about John F. Kennedy living through the assassination, everything like that. And I was going to throw this question out to you that it made me think as well too. Where were you on the day when JFK got shot, or what were you doing?
I was a freshman just starting Harvard College.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, none of us knew what to do, right?
Right, yeah. And of course, nobody knew what to think, what to say, and everything like that, all kinds of theories. And I guess the question out there is too that Kennedy served about, what was it, like a year and a half before he got shot. And of course, it makes you wonder too, do you think he would have had markings of a potentially great president, very good president, or simply just a good president? Because 1.5 years is really too early to tell on what kind of impact you would make as a president.
I was a great admirer. I thought he would be a wonderful president because one of the things we ask of our presidents is to represent us and speak for us, and he was very powerful at doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also remind me of that book with What Death Revealed as well, too, that people didn't have a voice back in the day. And this had been going on for so long before Martin Luther King got shot.
That's true. Yep. One of the things that I think the characters in the book wanted to tell me, I know this is a little crazy because they're fictional characters and I made them up, but
it's perfectly okay. I get cartoons running through my head too, so you're not the only one.
and I felt like they were getting me to pay attention to things that had been going on around me when I was a prosecutor in Washington and much younger, that I wasn't noticing, that I was taking for granted. And the whole experience of writing this book and seeing what's going on in the book helped me to see, this is extraordinary. The level of racism in the city and in the courts that I just didn't notice.
Mm-hmm. And then how did that manage to get untangled over time? Because it was just like, it was bonding, it was spaghetti junction, everything like that. And what are some of the process, what are some events that started to unravel, simply said, hey, we are starting to get along, hey, we are starting to work together, just like in the book.
I feel very strongly about that. If I don't know if you go from time to time to visit in Washington now, but it's a changed city. It is a place that you walk along the streets and everybody is there. And you look around, you go through the neighborhoods where you really couldn't have traveled 40 years ago. And they're diverse neighborhoods. The city is making it work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not perfect. There are all kinds of problems, but it's an extraordinary change from what it was when I was a prosecutor.
Uh-huh. And how you think the current administration or the soon-to-be past administration would have handled these problems? Just like the book.
Yeah, I think that by the 1970s, the conflicts were inevitable. That there was going to be an explosion, and the issue needed some kind of a release of pressure to move forward.
Okay, and I think that's a tribute to that too, and also made me think that even before that, like the 50s, 40s, and everything like that, even go a little bit further too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was a kid then, so I don't know.
I think there's a lot of it as well too, and navigating the system and everything else like that too. That you've been in law for some time, and I kind of like to throw us out there. How'd you first got interested in law involved?
When I came back from the Peace Corps, I was very interested in social change, and it seemed to me that changing the legal structure, changing the rules, was a good starting point for social change. So I ended up in law school, and then most people hate law school. I loved it. I had a great time. And I became interested in seeing what kind of trial lawyer I would make. And the way to get the fastest trial experience was to go and be a prosecutor. So I did that and realized that sending people to jail probably wasn't really reforming society very much, and moved on to do environmental work. But I always felt that if you want to look at what shapes society the way it is, one important piece that remains permanent is the legal structure.
Okay, and plus it also highlights in the book as well too, with complicated justice and morality relationship as well too, with the young DA as well too, and working with black police sergeants as well too. What are some of the the morality relationships, or some of the things that had to be resolved, and complicated justice and everything else? Where some of the other things had to be resolved?
So when they started this investigation together, they were kind of at the edge of breaking the rules, and they weren't sure they could trust one another. So the process of uncovering evidence of who had committed this crime, of discovering additional crimes, was also a process for them to test one another, and eventually their investigation, which was kind of at the edge of the rules, was officially sanctioned because they were uncovering stuff that really needed to be addressed. And they ended up working closely with a couple of FBI agents. And here's this young guy who was a war protester and really didn't trust the FBI, and now they're his close associates. The whole thing is just kind of ironic for him, but he's growing up in a hurry.
That is interesting, having FBI agents in the process. And how was the FBI viewed, back in the day as well, too?
Of course, that was, not too long after J. Edgar Hoover had died. A lot of questions about things that the FBI had been doing, investigations by Congress of the FBI, but the agents were still very, very effective partners for him to work with.
Okay. And he also helped out with the investigation as well, too. And more on what death revealed with Jonathan Lash in just 1 minute. You're listening to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios, brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's Missing, available on Amazon. Also, Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David, available on Amazon. Keyword Sweet Psalmist Serena Wagner. We'll be back with author Jonathan Lash of What Death Revealed after this time out.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hi, I'm Burl Barer, legendary American author, and I'm here to tell you about Missing, the new mystery suspense novel by Mia Molson. It's really a good book. Very surprising. Never a metaphor I didn't like, especially in this book. Here you have a main character whose life has been filled with despair. His wife died in 9/11. His young daughter died of a rare disease. He's not a happy camper. What does he do for a living? He's a physical fitness trainer. When somebody hardly knows know someone he's never met, he only has encountered them on an internet chat line, goes missing. This is his journey. He's going to go rescue them. This is his search for redemption, his search for his own personal promised land. He couldn't do anything about the death of his wife, the death of his child, but maybe he can rescue this woman he's never met. That is, if she exists. Missing by me and Mohsen Zia, international in scope, vastly entertaining, full of surprises. I suggest you get it in either paperback or an electronic edition for your Kindle. Missing by me and Mohsen Zia.
The Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Serena Wagner's book, The Sweet Psalmist, now available on Amazon. This book includes 30 exquisite paintings by well-known and unknown painters and King David Psalms. The Sweet Psalmist gives us a new perspective on his life in this book. Through the Psalms he wrote, his time as a shepherd in the field is where the book starts, and it goes on to describe his complicated and turbulent relationship with King Saul as well as other events. It's a story of love, betrayal, repentance, and more. It also offers advice on approaching God and living a life that pleases him. Check out the book, The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, now available on Amazon. Keywords, Sweet Psalmist, Serena Wagner.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to the Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back. Amazing author Jonathan Lash of What Death Revealed here on the Mike Wagner Show. And just a few more things about the book. This is a really compelling read. We encourage everybody to pick it up. What do you want people to get from the book?
Well, first of all, I hope it's a good story. I get some fan mail from people that say, darn you kept me up last night because I had to finish the book, find out what happened. And I just love those. It's supposed to be an exciting story. And I didn't know how it was going to end, so I'm sure my readers won't know how it's going to end. In addition to that, I think there's no better way to talk about difficult issues than through stories. And this is a story about people discovering the impacts of corruption and racism on their lives and finding their way through trying to change it. And I think that has a lot of relevance still today.
It does. In what ways?
We still experience these issues. We see them playing out all too often.
Okay. And do you think they're just as bad, the same, or worse than was back in the 70s when you wrote the book?
I think that there are a lot more people who are a lot more conscious of what's going on. So it's probably not as bad.
Okay. And that's good to know as well, too. And where can we find your book, What Death Revealed, along with the season spoils at?
Of course, it's available online with Amazon or some of the other online outlets. I hope people's local bookstores carry it. They do around here, but I don't know where all your listeners live. Or through my website.
And your website is?
JonathanLash.com.
JonathanLash.com. We'll certainly make sure everybody goes to that website, buy the book. We're here with the amazing author, Jonathan Lash of What Death Revealed here on the Mike Wagner Show. Just a few more things, Jonathan. What else can we expect in 2025 and beyond?
From me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on the sequel. I didn't want to say goodbye to these characters. I really like them. I enjoy spending time with them. So we're writing another book together. And I'm enjoying the fact that a guy in his mid-70s can completely retool himself and start another career. Go from being a college president to being a mystery writer.
And that's a really good path to take as well, too. I do the same thing. So I don't blame you for that. We encourage everybody to do so. And who do you consider biggest influence in the career?
My father was a Pulitzer Prize-winning author, and he always was certain that I would write. He always cared deeply about issues and talked about the world with me starting when I was 3 or 4 years old, and had a tremendous impact.
Okay, and certainly indeed. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Well, if they want to write, they got to sit down and write. and not worry about it. Not worry about who they're writing for or what the story is. Just listen to your own voices and begin putting it down.
And I think we all need to do that as well, too, including myself, by the way. Gotta get the cartoons on my head, so we gotta do that. We're here with the amazing author Jonathan Lash of What Death Revealed here on the Mike Wagner Show. Jonathan, very big thank you time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back. Once again, what's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your book?
Well, thank you very much, Mike. I enjoyed it enormously. I'm Jonathan Lash, and it's jonathanlash.com. I hope people visit me there. The book is available whatever outlet you might use online.
We will certainly check that out. Once again, Jonathan, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back. We wish you all the best. And Jonathan, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thank you.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hi, I'm Burl Bear, legendary American author, and I'm here to tell you about Missing, the new mystery suspense novel by Mian Mosensia. It's really a good book. Very surprising. Never metaphor I didn't like, especially in this book. Here you have a main character whose life has been filled with despair. His wife died in 9/11. His young daughter died of a rare disease. He's not a happy camper. What does he do for a living? He's a physical fitness trainer. When somebody hardly knows, somebody he's never met, he only has encountered them on an internet chat line, goes missing. This is his journey. He's going to go rescue them. This is his search for redemption and search for his own personal promised land. He couldn't do anything about the death of his wife, the death of his child, but maybe he could rescue this woman he's never met. That is, if she exists. Missing by Mian Mosensia, international in scope, vastly entertaining, full of surprises. I suggest you get it, either paperback or an electronic edition for your Kindle. Missing by Mian Mosensia.
The Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Serena Wagner's book, The Sweet Psalmist, now available on Amazon. This book includes 30 exquisite paintings by well-known and unknown painters and King David Psalms. The Sweet Psalmist gives us a new perspective on his life in this book. Through the Psalms he wrote, his time as a shepherd in the field is where the book starts, and it goes on to describe his complicated and turbulent relationship with King Saul as well as other events. It's a story of love, betrayal, repentance, and more. It also offers advice on approaching God and living a life that pleases him. Check out the book, The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, now available on Amazon. Keywords, Sweet Psalmist, Serena Wagner.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.